January 17th, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 Chick chart using the NinjaTrader 8 platform. This is how I saw the charts today. And there was only one piece of economic data that came out around 5:30 Pacific Standard. It was the core retail sales. The numbers came out around 5:30, be right about here where my cursor is. It didn't really seem to move the market all that much, so it was kind of like something the market really didn't react too violently towards. So it looked like it was a pretty large sell-off from the pre-market, had two legs down. This is kind of where the measured move happened. And then it looked kind of consolidated and then trended up, then another two legs down, then another two legs up. So kind of had a V-shaped recovery, kind of inverted head and shoulders. So trading today I thought was a little trickier. It's kind of tough. There was only one really good trade that I found. Unfortunately, I didn't take it. And then another trade that I took, the first trade I took, I thought was reasonably good, but it ended up stopping me out. And then the second trade that I took was a little bit riskier. I don't think it was the best trade to have taken. So there weren't that many trades in general, but I'm going to go through them right now. Now, I thought today was tricky because there were lots of, I guess, like fake outs, or even what you like, you have a second entry, but then it fails, and then it creates a third entry. So then you can't really trust it anymore. And also, the failed second entries, sometimes they just set up and they don't go in the direction that you want. So if it's like a failed second entry long, but you're looking to go long, then it doesn't really help if you want to suddenly reverse and go short. And also, I just want to point out there was a few consolidation areas that kind of overlap. So I had like a trading range here, then another trading range here, and another trading range here, and they all kind of overlapped. So I'm sure I could have been drawing these a little bit better, or I'm just, due to my experience, it was hard for me to figure out, because you might be at top of range here, or you might be in the middle of the range here. Then here, like you might be outside the range, but then you're kind of inside the range. So, and then another range here. So it just made things a little confusing for me. Toward the end of the day or later half of the day, price action did kind of fall into these nice channels. Unfortunately, it didn't set up very many possible trades. So I'm going to go into the trading now. So the pre-market, it looks like it was just a big sell-off, kind of profit taking from the last couple of days. And then, well, actually the last couple of days on the daily chart, it looked like they were just kind of really sideways. And so I did see this setup, of course it already formed by then. It was a new low here. It's a first entry short, second entry short. This isn't a very good signal bar, but it is kind of following a potential trend channel down, because you would see something like this. And it is kind of being rejected by that trend line and potentially with enough room to come back down. So it doesn't matter because I wasn't even around to trade that. So let's see, prices move. Okay, it goes into the open. And upon the open, when I see something like this is something I'm not too fond of, because immediately open, price sold off. So the current tendency of the bias is probably sell off. Maybe it's a range, but it's consolidating here. But look at these side-by-side dojis. This is a really small candle. Like definitely these are 3 dojis. And then it just looks very, very congested. So there's no quick reaction up or quick reaction down. So definitely it's just telling you just sit tight. It breaks down, it starts moving down. I'm thinking maybe I should widen up this channel. But when I tried to draw a trend line to kind of fit the price action down here, it didn't fit too well. Now, one time I was playing with the idea of something like this. But again, I later deleted it because it doesn't really help me find any trades, really. I'm just going to delete this to clear it up. Prices start moving up. You have second entries, like one here, low, first entry short, second entry shorts above the EMA. It doesn't look very clean. Nothing's telling you to go short yet because it's already kind of low of the range or low of this pre-market range. So again, I'm just sitting tight, and it's just these really tight candles side by side. And it looks like it's consolidating here. Moves up, so I drew this supporting trend line here, thinking there was a potential range. And at one time I was playing with the range, kind of where my cursor is, with an overshoot here, but then I drew it up and tried to encapsulate all the price action without having any overshoots. So here it's just kind of getting choppy. I don't quite like what I see, and it finally pushes up, it pushes through. So I'm thinking failed breakout potential. It does fail it does create a failed breakout, but there's no clean setup because here you're not thinking of going short yet. Here, this candle's pretty big. You could be going short, but I drew this panel going up and I'm thinking it's hit the low of the channel. I don't know if it's going to be a bounce or not, so it just tells me to sit tight, stay put. Flashes down and creates this gigantic candle. So again, you're just sitting tight, waiting. You technically have a new low here, first entry short, second entry short. You had a second entry short here. I saw it, and I was thinking maybe there's a second entry short. It confirms here, confirms your second entry short. It hasn't failed your second entry short yet. But when I see something like this, definitely I think you do not want to go short now because look how high it closed back up. It looks like it's pushing back up to test the highs, which it kind of already did. So to think going short, there's no trade to go short, at least a very risky one. And definitely you don't think you should go long yet. So there's nothing here, but it did had this created a nice little bear candle, then it looked like it'd be a failed breakout going back into range. Fortunately, it didn't quite set up that way. It's really, really whipsaw. Okay, so here I'm thinking, okay, it's obeying this trend trading range, but now I was thinking maybe I should drag this up to here, but then it discounts this whole blank area. So what I did was I drew an overlapping range here, where I thought this is potentially the top of the range. Bottom of the range, I was playing with the idea of maybe here, where my cursor is, but then I drew it a little bit lower, and it kind of flashes through, breaks through. It's a new high. It's first entry long, second entry long. Technically, second entry long happens here. It's confirmed, but it flashes down, so no trade here. Pops around, and so you don't have first entry short till you get to about here. So it's a new low, pushes, 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 first entry short. Here, it creates the second entry short, also my first trade. So I saw this as a new low. I did draw this red trend line and then another trend line up here. And I'm thinking I'm in a larger channel potentially, but don't trust anything up here just yet. But I do trust something going on down here. So I'm thinking, okay, so it's pushing off from down here. I might be in a range. I have a new low here. I have a first entry short, pushes up, creates a second entry short. It creates a second entry short that fails. So even though this bar closed bearish, it created a failure here and it closed pretty much on the upper half. And I also saw this as a new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. It's a hidden second entry long because first entry longs here, second entry longs created on the life of this candle. It broke down below and it closed and pushed back right up to the top. So I'm thinking there's two key entry points. I like this trade. On the next candle, it opens down here, it flashes up, and it bounces around, right? So I liked what I saw. It hits the top. I enter at the high of this candle. I'm thinking failed, second entry short, second entry long that's hidden. There's enough room to get a quick scalp. I like this trade. I enter. It flashes down. Now I'm getting really nervous, and then it stops me out because my stop was one tick below this guy. And I was debating keeping it one tick below this guy, but then the risk reward is too huge. And as you can see, even if I kept it one tick below here, I probably would have gotten stopped out on this candle. So this, I felt like was a decent setup, but I got burned. Prices then continue moving. I look back and I wonder, could this have been any warning signs? So definitely, if I was respecting this as a trading range, it looks like it's, potentially moving back into the range, but it violated it so many times up here. So even if I had this range, it's kind of in the middle of the range, right? But I was thinking it came, did a failed breakout, it's pushing back up, didn't quite do it. So it's one push down. This could be a second attempt up to here. So that's what I was thinking when I saw this setup here. So again, I thought everything was aligning, and unfortunately it didn't play out for me. And prices continue moving. So it's a new low here. It's a first entry short, pullback, second entry short. So it is a little bit far away. So it's a first entry short, push down, second entry short. This second entry short is a very bad candle. Here creates a failure, second entry short. So I actually took this trade pretty shortly after I, lost on this trade. It's only been about 20 minutes. And so I don't really think this was the best trade to have taken because on the second push up, it made a new high already. So when I'm thinking of second entry short, it's already showing momentum to the upside. So definitely I'm not thinking going short, but this candle, this whole setup was a little bit more iffy. And I took it on the engulfing because I didn't want to wait for this to close. I wasn't sure if this range was in play anymore. And maybe there's another range. So I had three overlapping ranges. That adds makes things a little ambiguous. So right off the top, that should have been a sign to maybe have skipped this trade. And so I did take it. I did get rewarded, but I do know that this was a lot of danger here because it's a bunch of question marks, a bunch of conflicting ideas. It could have gone easily the other way. So definitely was lucky I got this trade. And prices continue moving down. I do see a new high, first entry long, pull back. This is, I think, a better setup. It's a possible trade because this is the first break out of here. It could be a failed breakout. There's a triple test here, like one touch, two touch, three touch. So it could be pushing back in. I did have this as a channel coming down, but it's not the cleanest. So I wasn't too concerned. Maybe that it's going to, act as another resistance up here. But their EMA is right here. So I did see this, but I also knew how lucky I was with this one. So I was a little hesitant taking this trade. It looks like if I did take it, I would have entered either at the high of this one or one tick above, and I would not have gotten my scalp. This candle very likely would have stopped me out, or this candle, definitely. So when I saw this, after taking these two trades, I thought, looking back, what is going on today? Today it is very choppy, very whippy. It feels like there's a lot of traps today. There's a lot of indecision. I'm not in tune, and I'm not, I don't have the experience to really, really dial in what's going on. I need to be very careful. That's what I did. I just kind of sat back and became very, very extremely picky with my trades. And I didn't take any more trades after that because I couldn't find any, except for one more that's coming up, but I still didn't take that trade. Prices push up, creates a first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long here, but I'm not too keen on this because one push up, second push up. Yes, it's a break of this. It could be one attempt up. This could be the second attempt. I don't like that this is an inside bar, and it's very small compared to how large and dominating this one was. If you did take it, it looks like you would have gotten, ooh, it's exactly 1 point. So it's debatable whether you would have gotten out on this trade before getting stopped out. Prices then continue moving. It looks like it's hitting some kind of resistance. So it made one touch, two touch, three touch, and I'm thinking there's a triple test. Prices might push down. What was giving me a little bit of pause was it looks like it's slowly trending up. So thinking of going short off this triple test rejection is fine, except the overall bias is pushing up. So that just, and today being a very confusing day, I decided to, just be very careful. You have a first entry short. Actually, you have a new low here. You have a first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short right here. This isn't a very good signal bar, and you're creating higher lows every time. So it gives me pause. It ends up kind of working, I guess, because if you had your stop up here, which is very, very scary, because if it hits your stop, I think there's a lot of short traders that would have been here and it would have flashed up really hard, but it held, pushed down, but you don't know that at the time. So I'm glad I just didn't do anything. So then continue moving down, falls into what I think is this yellow channel. There's a first entry long pullback. You technically have a second entry long here, but it's not very clean and it's not a good signal bar. You don't have a second entry short. You do have a new high here again. Count resets. First entry long, second entry long. Again, this isn't very clear. It's very congested. Two dojis. Bad signal bar to go long on. Plus the overall bias now is clearly telling you prices are coming back down. So you don't want to counter trend trade. It pushes down, it breaks out, it pushes above the EMA. So I'm watching. So it's first entry short, second entry short right here. But this isn't a good signal bar to go short on. And if you're thinking failure, it's a little early to think reversal just yet because this is the first break and you think it's going to come back down and test the lows. Comes back down, chops around, gets a little ugly, continues back down. So if you had a huge stop, maybe contextual wise, it's doing what you thought it's going to do. It's going to come back down and test the lows of the break of this yellow channel, except how you're trading it with scalping, you'd probably have to keep your stops really wide. And that's not my strategy. So it's a new high here, first entry long, pull back. You technically have a second entry long here. But first entry long, second entry long is also be part of one big leg. So here, nothing's telling me to go long, except for the fact that it created and completed the measured move. One leg down, push up, second leg down. So here, created the measured move, but just taking a trade off of the basis that your measured move was completed is dicey. I needed more than that. It needed to be, EMA had to come into play. There had been another resistance. There had been something else to convince you to take a trade here. Prices then continue chopping, falls into what I think is another channel going down, kind of overlapping channel. It's new high, first entry long, second entry long. You have a decent signal bar, but it's in the middle of nowhere. It's at the lows. It's a little just confusing, so I didn't do anything. Prices then continue moving up. So here you have a new low, first entry short, second entry short technically is made here. But if you saw as one leg up, push back, second leg up, this is your second entry short potentially on the visual. But it just feels like all the price action previously has been pushing down. So it's a little bit I'm a little bit unsure. Then it comes up and it sets up this next setup, which is I think the only really good trade of the day. Unfortunately, I wasn't aware of it, or I was aware, I just didn't react to it. It's a new high, it's a first entry long, break of this yellow channel, first break, first attempt up, pull back. It's about to create a second attempt up. Now, what I liked about this trade is first entry long, second entry long. Second entry long isn't confirmed yet, but you can anticipate the second entry long is about to happen because one push down, push up, second push down. It's bouncing off the EMA. If you thought prices were going to come back down, I was like, one push down and continue down. It trapped shorts, pushed up, closed high. If you entered one tick above or right here, you would have gotten filled. And then you would have gotten a trade right here. So this is a relatively, I think, a trade that would have been worth taking. Fortunately, I didn't take it. The prices continue moving up. It doesn't really create any good opportunities. You have a new low here, first entry short, not a good second entry short signal bar. Double top here, you only have first entry long. Then you just kind of continue the rest of the day just like that because you have a new high, first entry long, pull back. You technically have a second entry long. It's below the EMA, broke out of this orange channel. It looks like another attempt up to this high is a little late now. Plus, this channel itself is a little iffy. Then prices then move down, breaks, continue chopping. It's a new high, first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long right here, but it's a bad signal bar. I don't like what I see. EMA is starting to point down when you see this at the time, so you really don't know if you have enough room or this might act as a resistance. Prices then continue chopping up. You have new high, first entry long, second entry long. This is the second entry longs made right here, but this is a bad signal bar, too far from the EMA. You'd have to trust solely on the strength of this green channel, which isn't very reliable. Plus, it's very late in the day now. And look, right here is like 7:48. There's only 12 more minutes in regular trading hours, and usually in the last 10 minutes, things get really whipsaw. And prices then, last 10 minutes, chop around and move into the close. So out of the entire day, I had one loss, one win. This one I thought at the time was a decent setup. This one was definitely risky, and this is the only other good setup that I found. There are other second entries in here, but there were some fake outs and just things I didn't like. So today was definitely more of a challenging trading day for me. So hopefully that was helpful.